Hello everyone and welcome to Ripple Stories. In today's tale you will hear about a girl who goes off on a quest to find a golden bird, and along the way finds even more wondrous and magical creatures. Listen and enjoy. A lovely rainbow, see it span, so brightly shining o'er the land. It is so red, gold, green, and blue. I want to climb it now with you. The Golden Bird, a Grimm's fairy tale, reimagined. A certain queen had a beautiful garden, and in the garden stood a tree which bore golden apples. These apples were always counted, and about the time when they began to grow ripe, it was found that every night one of them was gone. The queen became very angry at this, and ordered the gardener to keep watch all night under the tree. The gardener set his eldest child to watch, but about 12 o'clock they fell asleep, and in the morning another of the apples was missing. Then the second child was ordered to watch, and at midnight they too fell asleep, and in the morning another apple was gone. Then the third child offered to keep watch, but the gardener at first would not let them, for fear some harm should come to them. However, at last he consented, and the young child laid herself under the tree to watch. As the clock struck 12, they heard a rustling noise in the air, and a bird came flying that was of pure gold. And as it was snapping at one of the apples with its beak, the gardener's child jumped up and shot an arrow at it. But the arrow did the bird no harm. Only it dropped a golden feather from its tail, and then flew away. The golden feather was brought to the queen in the morning, and all the council was called together. Everyone agreed that it was worth more than all the wealth of the kingdom. But the queen said, "One feather is of no use to me. I must have the whole bird." Then the gardener's eldest child set out, and thought to find the golden bird very easily. And when they had gone but a little way, they came to a wood. And by the side of the wood they saw a fox sitting. So they took their bow and made ready to shoot at it. Then the fox said, "Do not shoot me, for I will give you good counsel. I know what your business is, and that you want to find the golden bird. You will reach a village in the evening, and when you get there, you will see two inns opposite to each other, one of which is very pleasant and beautiful to look at. Go not in there, but rest for the night in the other, though it may appear to you to be very poor and mean." But the child thought to himself, "What can such a beast as this know about the matter?" So they shot their arrow at the fox. Luckily, they missed, and it set up its tail above its back and ran into the wood. Then they went their way, and in the evening came to the village where the two inns were. And in one of these were people singing and dancing and feasting. The other looked very dirty and poor. "I should be very silly," said they, "if I went to that shabby house and left this charming place." So they went into the smart house and ate and drank at their ease, and forgot the bird and their country too. Time passed on, and as the eldest child did not come back, and no tidings were heard of them, the second child set out, and the same thing happened to him. He met the fox, who gave him the good advice. But when he came to the two inns, his eldest sibling was standing at the window where the merrymaking was, and called to him to come in, and he could not withstand the temptation, but went in, and forgot the golden bird, and his country in the same manner. Time passed on again, and the youngest child too wished to set out into the wide world to seek for the golden bird. But her father would not listen to it for a long while, for he was very fond of his daughter, and was afraid that some ill luck might happen to her also, and prevent her coming back. However, at last it was agreed she should go, for she would not rest at home. And as she came to the wood, she met the fox, and heard the same good counsel. But she was thankful to the fox, and did not attempt his life as her siblings had done. So the fox said, "Sit upon my tail, and you will travel faster." So she sat down, and the fox began to run, and away they went over stock and stone so quick that their hair whistled in the wind. When they came to the village, the daughter followed the fox's counsel, and without looking about her, went to the shabby inn and rested there all night at her ease. In the morning came the fox again, and met her as she was beginning her journey, and said, "Go straight forward till you come to a castle, before which lie a whole troop of soldiers fast asleep and snoring. Take no notice of them, but go into the castle and pass on till you come to a room where the golden bird sits in a wooden cage. Close by it stands a beautiful golden cage. But do not try to take the bird out of the shabby cage and put it into the handsome one, otherwise you will repent it." Then the fox stretched out his tail again, and the young woman sat herself down, and away they went over stock and stone, till her long black hair whistled in the wind. Before the castle gate all was as the fox had said. So the girl went in and found the chamber where the golden bird hung in a wooden cage, and below stood the golden cage, and the 3 golden apples that had been lost were lying close by it. Then thought she to herself, "It will be a very droll thing to bring away such a fine bird in this shabby cage." So she opened the door and took hold of it and put it into the golden cage. But the bird then set up such a loud scream that all the soldiers awoke, and they took her prisoner and carried her before the king. The next morning the court sat to judge her, and when all was heard, sentenced her to die, unless she should bring the king the golden horse, which could run as swiftly as the wind. And if she did this, she was to have the golden bird given her for her own. So she set out once more on her journey, sighing and in great despair, when on a sudden her friend the fox met her and said, "You see now what has happened on account of your not listening to my counsel. I will still, however, tell you how to find the golden horse, if you will do as I bid you. You must go straight on till you come to the castle, where the horse stands in its stall. By their side will lie the groom fast asleep and snoring. Take away the horse quietly, but be sure to put the old leathern saddle upon them, and not the golden one that is close by it." Then the girl sat down on the fox's tail, and away they went over stock and stone, till her long dark hair whistled in the wind. All went right, and the groom lay snoring with his hand upon the golden saddle. But when the girl looked at the horse, She thought it a great pity to put the leathern saddle upon it. "I will give him the good one," said she. "I am sure he deserves it." As she took up the golden saddle, the groom awoke and cried out so loud that all the guards ran in and took her prisoner. And in the morning she was again brought before the court to be judged, and was sentenced to die. It was agreed, however, that if she could bring thither the beautiful princess, she should live, and have the bird and the horse given her for her own. Then she went her way very sorrowful, but the old fox came and said, "Why did you not listen to me? If you had, you would have carried away both the bird and the horse. Yet will I once more give you counsel. Go straight on, and in the evening you will arrive at a castle. At 12 o'clock at night, the princess goes to the bathing house. Go up to her and give her a kiss, and she will let you lead her away. But take care you do not suffer her to go and take leave of her father and mother." Then the fox stretched out his tail, and so away they went over stock and stone, till her long black hair whistled again in the wind. As they came to the castle, all was as the fox had said, and at 12 o'clock the young woman met the princess going to the bath, and gave her a kiss on the cheek. And the princess agreed to run away with her, but begged with many tears that she would let her take her leave of her father and mother. At first the young woman refused, but the princess wept still more and fell at her feet, till at last she consented. The moment the princess came to her parents' house, the guards awoke, and the young girl was taken prisoner again. Then she was brought before the king and queen, and the queen said, "You shall never have my daughter, unless in 8 days you dig away the hill that stops the view from my window." Now this hill was so big that the whole world could not take it away, and when she had worked for 7 days, and had done very little, the fox suddenly came and said, "Lie down and go to sleep. I will work for you." And in the morning she awoke, and the hill was gone. So she went merrily to the queen and king, and told them that now that it was removed, they must give her the princess. Then the queen was obliged to keep her word, and away went the young girl and the princess. And the fox came and said to the girl, "We will have all 3, the princess, the horse, and the bird." "Ah," said the young woman, "that would be a great thing. But how can you contrive it?" "If you will only listen," said the fox, "it can be done. When you come to the king, and he asks for the beautiful princess, you must say, 'Here she is.' Then he will be very joyful, and you will mount the golden horse that they are to give you, and put out your hand to take leave of them. But shake hands with the princess last. Then lift her quickly onto the horse behind you, clap your spurs to his side, and gallop away as fast as you can." All went right, and the girl and the princess were riding next to the fox. And the fox said, "When you come to the castle where the bird is, I will stay with the princess at the door, and you will ride in and speak to the king. And when he sees that it is the right horse, he will bring out the bird. But you must sit still and say that you want to look at it, to see whether it is the true golden bird. And when you get it into your hand, ride away." This too happened as the fox said, and they carried off the bird. The princess mounted again, and they rode on to a great wood. Then the fox came and said, "Pray kill me, and cut off my head and my feet." But the young woman refused to do it. So the fox said, "I will at any rate give you good counsel. Beware of two things. Ransom no one from the gallows, and sit down by the side of no river." Then away he went. Well, thought the young woman, it is no hard matter to keep that advice. She rode on with the princess, till at last she came to the village where she had left her two siblings. And there she heard a great noise and uproar. And when she asked what was the matter, the people said, "Two people are going to be hanged." As she came nearer, she saw that the two people were her siblings, who had turned robbers. So she said, "Can they in any way be saved?" But the people said, no, unless she would bestow all her money upon the rascals and buy their liberty. Then she did not stay to think about the matter, but paid what was asked, and her siblings were given up and went on with her towards their home. As they came to the wood where the fox first met them, it was so cool and pleasant that the two siblings said, "Let us sit down by the side of the river and rest a while to eat and drink." So she said, "Yes," and forgot the fox's counsel, and sat down on the side of the river. And while she suspected nothing, they came behind and threw her down the bank. They took the princess, the horse, and the bird, and went home to the queen and said, and as they came to the wood where the fox first met them, it was so cool and pleasant that the two siblings said, "Let us sit down by the side of the river and rest a while to eat and drink." So she said yes, and forgot the fox's counsel, and sat down on the side of the river. And while she suspected nothing, they came behind and threw her down the bank. They took the princess, the horse, and the bird, and went home to the queen and said, "All this have we won by our labor." Then there was great rejoicing. But the horse would not eat, the bird would not sing, and the princess only wept. The youngest child fell to the bottom of the river's bed. Luckily, it was nearly dry, but her bones were almost broken, and the bank was so steep that she could find no way to get out. Then the old fox came once more, and scolded her for not following his advice. Otherwise no evil would have befallen her. "Yet," said he, "I cannot leave you here, so lay hold of my tail and hold fast." Then he pulled her out of the river and said to her, as she got upon the bank, "Your siblings have set watch to kill you if they find you in the kingdom." So she dressed herself as a poor woman and came secretly to the queen's court, and was scarcely within the doors when the horse began to eat, and the bird to sing, and the princess left off weeping. Then she went to the queen and told her all her siblings' roguery, and they were seized and punished. And the princess ran and embraced her. And after the queen's death, she was made heir to the kingdom. A long while after, she and the princess were walking hand in hand in the woods, and the old fox met them, and besought the young woman with tears in his eyes to kill him. And at last she did so. And in a moment the fox was changed into a man, and turned out to be the brother of the princess, who had been lost a great many, many years. There was much rejoicing and tears of happiness that they had found each other again, and they all lived together as one joyful family for the rest of their long lives. Snip, snap, snout. Now my tale's told out. Join me next week for another story of magic and wonder. All stories told by Ripple Stories are retold from copyright-free and public domain books.